Patty Hajdu, the Member of Parliament for Thunder Bay Superior North, held her nomination meeting at the Sleeping Giant Brewing Company in Thunder Bay today. Here, with Patty's nomination acceptance speech, is Member of Parliament Patty Hajdu. This is James with Net News Ledger.
All of you, friends, volunteers, elected officials, special dignitaries, of course, my mentor, Michael Gravel, my other mentor, Alvin Fiddler, who's somewhere in the back. All of you who have contributed to my growth and to this community in profound ways here on the traditional territory of Fort William First Nation. And I want to tell you a little bit about, most of you know how I got here, but I'm going to spend a few moments talking about that, and then I'll set a vision for the future. So 4 years ago, before I was even the candidate, I was running Shelter House. And I was heartbroken, because you can't do that work without hearing the stories of the people that land there. In fact, I was so moved by their stories that I wrote a series for the Chronicle Journal. Some of you may have read those stories. I wanted to make sure that other people heard those stories, because the stigma that people feel and face when they're at the very worst moments of their lives is so profound that I wanted to help other people see them as humans. Women who talked about escaping abusive childhoods only to end up in abusive relationships, and men who talked about poverty and violence, including early childhood trauma that changed their outcomes, sometimes forever. But I also saw and I heard that recovery was possible when people had a fair chance. That when services were delivered with compassion and fairness, when decent housing was available, that provided that stable place, healing could happen. And I couldn't help but wonder why, as a society, we didn't spend more time on things like prevention, housing, and education, and why we had laws that criminalized people for using substances rather than laws that focused on recovery and harm reduction and increased options. And the experience strengthened my fundamental belief that we don't all arrive here to life in this world with the same set of assets, but that given a chance, most folks do pretty well. And all I heard at that time from the Harper Conservatives was a muted version of what I hear even more loudly today. A message of fear and anger and vengeance and of greed. And so I decided I was going to try to do something about it. I didn't know how hard it was going to be. And that began my journey into politics. So I met with a core group of Thunder Bay Superior North Liberals in the back room of Calico. Some of you are here today that were at that meeting. And there were people like Ann Zuliani, who became my campaign manager and the head of my riding association, and I'm hoping will be my campaign manager again. And Jack and Kay Masters, some of you will know these names. And Jack put me through my paces at that meeting. It was a job interview. And he wanted to know if I had what it took to be a member of parliament. And he said, this is the hardest thing you're ever going to do. It's physically exhausting. It's mentally exhausting. It's spiritually exhausting. And he was right. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Flash forward to 2015. What a team. A combination of those who had done it before with those who were brand new to campaigning. And we did a lot of new things. We knocked on doors a full year before the campaign. We would show up at doors and people would be so confused. What are you doing here, they'd say, in the middle of the winter. Mary remembers that. She's nodding away. It was cold. As a matter of fact, some of the older Liberals thought we were crazy. But people got to know me. We had regular events to inspire new volunteers, aimed at all different age ranges. And we had a place for everyone. And of course, I had a fantastic mentor. You just heard from him, in Michael Gravel, who gave me the best piece of advice that I hold on to today. And he said to me, be yourself. Stay true to who you are. And you know what? We won. And the best compliment about that campaign came from the people who worked so hard on it. You know what they said? That was so much fun. Can you imagine? So much work. And people had fun. And you know why? I have to thank the team, because the spirit of inclusivity on that campaign was like something I had never seen. Anyone who wanted to help had a place. It didn't matter what your age was. It didn't matter what your ability was. It didn't matter whether you liked to knock on doors or feed people coffee or bring me fruits and vegetables, which really did happen. Everyone was welcome, and we found a place for everyone. And negativity was checked at the door. And the motto was, try your best. And so can you believe it? It's been 3 years. And we've accomplished some great things as a government. Here's some of my personal favorites. A national housing strategy with $40 billion dedicated over 10 years. It's unfolding right now. Historic investments in Indigenous communities for schools and water and education and health and skills, and a much better relationship based on rights and recognition and respect of treaty. We've still got a lot to do, but we're on the right path. The legalization of cannabis, an end to a regime that didn't work and criminalized users while shoveling vast amounts of money to the black market. And this will allow for more honest conversations based on health and harm reduction, better research to understand the health and social effects. A focus on equity for women and for other people that had not had the same opportunities in the workforce. Restoring respect for workers and for organized labor. Because you know what? Unions built the middle class, and we owe them the respect of that. They also continue to fight for a fair and a safe workplace for everyone. Restoring balance between protecting the environment and growing the economy. This is critical work we have to do, because we can see right in front of us, especially right here, but all across the country, the enormous human and fiscal costs of climate change, and doing nothing is not an option. And standing up for a government, a Canadian government that respects the rules of law and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. These are just a few of the things that we've done in the last 3 years. And what about Thunder Bay Superior North? I get asked this question all the time. What have you done for our own riding? Well, investments in flood mitigation and better transit systems and federal help for Michael's Highway to twin the highway. Protecting our affordable housing stock through investments in renovation and repairs that were desperately needed in social housing. The renewal of Castle Green co-ops so that people have secure access to that affordable housing. And there's more to come on the continuum of housing in this region. Funding for research and economic development that helps diversify our economy here in the north, throughout the region. Money to support the expansion of the Port of Thunder Bay, and recognition of the economic driver of our seaway and our region as a very important hub. Funding for the art gallery and the college and the university to continue to attract and keep people right here in our region. Attention and commitment to deal with the long-standing environmental issues such as the toxic blob in our harbour. An increase of $50 million to FedNor and the Northern Ontario Growth Strategy that recognizes the importance of our region to the economic prosperity of the entire country. So I could go on, enough with the shopping list. But can you believe that we did all of that together? So today, I accept the nomination to be your Liberal candidate for our riding in 2020. More to do. If we really want to grow our economy and protect our environment and make sure that everyone has that fair chance at success, we're going to have to work just as hard as we did in 2015. We're going to have to raise money, and we're going to have to knock on doors, and we're going to have to talk with our friends and our neighbors and our family. And we are going to have to fight the growing message of fear and greed and intolerance that is loud and clear from people like Andrew Scheer and Doug Ford, who think that it's okay to have winners and losers. And who think, and those men who think that maximizing profits for CEOs at the expense of workers' dignity and health and safety is okay. Who are using subtle and not so subtle messages to inspire selfishness and hate in Canadians, and we have an advantage. We have a strong advantage, because even though it's easy, it's much easier initially to hate and fear, it's so hard to sustain. It's not a great feeling to have long term, and it profoundly damages families and communities and our country. And people need hope, and they need compassion, and they need kindness much more than they need fear. And so I will not bend in my message that when we work together and when we are kind together, and when we lift each other up, and when we empower one another, we are stronger. Our businesses are stronger, our economy grows, our children thrive. And so I thank you for being here. And I thank you for all your hard work that you've done and all the hard work that you're going to continue to do. And I thank you for your generosity. But I'm going to ask you for more. And we are going to win in 2019 to continue our message of positive politics, to ensure that we have a Canada where everybody has a fair chance at success. So thank